Hello, this is Max Drake. I want to talk about this program here. What it actually does is if I've got a button that I programmed that I can then click on this and then I can activate it to do a whole lot of simple things like that. Now I am using programmable buttons. This particular button here, I've got the very top one here that actually does that this thing here, and it'll activate those. So I've got programmable keys, so I can actually write macros onto the keys. I've also tried with another one I ended up with which actually has 12 buttons on the side plus another couple on the top. So I've been playing with those sorts of things, and I started to drift towards programming programmable mice for a couple of reasons. One of them because I'd always, just when I was doing my CAD and my BIM stuff and everything like that, you go into an office and they just have the setup of a normal mouse. So I started to use a normal mouse, but I suddenly thought, oh no, I can actually put a whole lot of things, so I don't have to stretch across the keyboard to get things. I can actually just activate them from an extra button that you've got on there, like a copy and paste and things that you're using all the time. So the other one that I was actually doing, I was actually starting to find that I'm getting a whole lot of pain in my wrist on the lower part underneath my elbow, then across my shoulder and my back. And what I concluded that a lot of the hotkeys were giving me grief. So if we just pop up, and if I just do a screenshot through here, I'm just going to do a screenshot there. So that is just one press of the mouse button there, coming down to the screenshot number 2 there, and coming across to the screenshot and then just selecting the area that I actually want, and we just go back, taskbar 1. So I don't have to use that. Now the hotkey for that is Control plus Shift plus 1, so I have to have the little finger on the control, the next smallest finger on the shift button, and then I've got to roll my wrist forward and use my middle finger to actually press the 1. And if I miss the 1, I hit the Q, and that means it's quitting the browser. And so I find that quite infuriating sometimes, is that I do that. But a lot of my keyboard shortcuts are something like Control plus Alt plus R, so it's a long stretch. And what I'm actually finding is those stretches and things are sort of starting to cause me pain. Now I've used hotkeys for years and years and years and years. They just seem to, I think I'm getting old, and they just start to have an effect on me. So I have the hotkeys to activate a whole load of other programs that I've got for activating programs. So this one here is called MaxLauncher. It's a fantastic program because it's got, on this first tab, it's got 3 down plus 10 across. So there's 30 items that I can put on here, and I've got 10 tabs. So I can put 300 items on here. So this one, if I was going to do a Python script, I could click on this tab and then double click on this there button, and it would run that script. I can run auto hotkey scripts through here. If I just go into the edit, normally you put your program in here, and like if it's a URL or something, I can actually say Firefox, fire up Firefox, and then the argument is go to this URL site. So an example of that one is I've got one for tides, and it just says open up Firefox and then go to that one there to get the latest tides. So it's really handy for that. I've got programs and stuff that I use through here. Not so many really, because a lot of them I'd actually initiate from the taskbar, because once you've got the program fired up, you're generally just switching between them. So this is another thing that I don't do. I normally fire up certain programs in the morning and then I don't bother with them. But one of the things which I found when I was doing this is that I needed a program, but I couldn't do a hotkey or a hotstring. So what are the hotkeys and the hotstrings? Well, let's just pop into here. So we're just going to pop into here, and we're just going to go to taskbar 2. So in here, a hotkey is something like Control Alt D, which is an email I've got on that one. So that's just, if I do the hotkey, it do something. It'll actually run a script. It does lots of other things, but the first one that I'd used it for was all of my emails and stuff. The second one that you could do is a hot string. So DDD writes me a short date. If I go DDFF, that expands into a the full date, so Sunday the 8th of June 2025, whatever. Now, so for that, I actually use another thing called aText. So aText is a fantastic program. Now, this one cost me $5 a year, but you can put it onto 3 computers. But the nice thing with this is that you can very quickly put things in there on the fly. Now, inside of here, you can add date and time variables. You can get snippets and stuff. You can have a field so that it pops up. It's got all the rest of the information in. So you can say, dear, hello, here's the normal blurb, and you can put all the stuff in there. So you can get a lot of emails done that way. I don't tend to do that. But it also does a whole lot of scripts. It does rich text through there. So if I'm in an email in here, and I just go a new message, I've got one which goes full signature. So it does all of these, and when I send this across, in the back of it, it's got a whole lot of HTML, but it just comes through. So it does rich text stuff as well, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Not that I use it that much. Generally, I just use stuff for dirty things. So there's that one through there, you know, and if I just want a quick thing, I can actually do S12 for cheers and my name, or we can have the Namihi, for kind regards in Maori. And then there's other logins and stuff and things that you can do that, you know, and if you suddenly find you're not using something very frequently, you know, you can actually just put a few X's on the end of it and then it stops using. It's quite loud, so it's easy to activate, easy not to activate. So it can do PowerScript, VB scripts, Python scripts, order hotkeys, and well, it doesn't do order hotkeys. You've actually got to program it. So normally you just got to associate your order hotkey program with the script, and then put the two together. So you'd open up order hotkey program, and then you'd run the script, boom, and that would go beautifully. And so I find a lot of these absolutely brilliant. So the person so I've got all these things, and like that aText is usually activated by either a hotkey or a hot string. And hot strings I like because you can sort of like DDDs for the day. So you can sort of think of that, and then if you go DDFF, so full day type thing, so you can do simple abbreviations that you can remember when you're jumping around in different stuff. So on here, I've got the main program and I've got the sub-program. Now there's a couple of things that really work for me here. Another one that I actually have, I don't know if it's going to fire up now. No, it's going to get sulky on me. L6. It was, yeah, and it's not coming through on there. Is another one that I was trying to use was QuickAccessPopup, which is really good for navigating for file folders and things. If you can find it, go use it. You can get it for free or donate towards it. So I've got all of these hotkeys and stuff set up that I normally do with my left hand. All I want to do is with my right hand. So when I actually do this, I just press this my fire button on here, the main fire button, this pops up through here. The lovely thing which I find about this is that it actually pops up just where your mouse is at this point in time. Now this is just something I actually just want to show you. Because I do a lot of CAD and stuff, you know, I'd be highlight cursor, sorry, yellow crosshairs. No, let's do red crosshairs. So I'd do things on a crosshair. So I might have a really fine detail that I need to zoom into, and it's the intersection of two letters, or I've got to be in between. You know, you can think of that as two lines that I'm doing in CAD, or it's an edge of a wall, or it's a door edge or something, and I need to get in. So what you've then got to go and find a function or something. So you've got to come up to the ribbon and find something to then activate that. And the same with CAD, and CAD does a whole lot of lines, and you're getting very messy because the whole lot of lines, even if you're zooming in very close, and you're going up and you're distracting yourself from where you actually had it. I would be zoomed out a little less than other people would zoom right in to make sure they were there, and I get distracted when I come away from it. It's the same with coming down to the taskbar to activate things. Normally you have your taskbar open and then you don't think about it anymore. Then you've got to come down when you're switching programs. So this is great, the fact that this pops up just at the crosshair. I suddenly think, I want something, where is it? I can do that functionality straight away through there. So I think that is really, really good. So it suits me because it's actually, I don't get distracted by coming down and trying to hunt for something. Now another one that I use quite frequently is this thing here. So there's one called, if you press the window key, so whatever your taskbar settings are down here, so if I go Windows 1, the first thing here is Firefox, so that opens up there. If I go Windows 2, you'll see that the next one is Notepad. If I go Windows 3, it then brings in. So a lot of the times, if I'm working between two programs, like I'm testing a script, I've got a script that I'm testing, then I want to come and try it out. So I want to try the DDD, and then I can actually test it out and see that it works through there. So a lot of the times I'd actually just go Windows 1 or Windows 2 to jump between the two programs that I want, or I could do a Windows 3 if I'm doing 3 different programs all the time. Generally though, I'm just splitting between 2 programs. I don't like doing half a screen each, because if you do this into half a screen, you find half your flipping code disappears and things. So sometimes it works, so I prefer everything full screen and then just switch between anything that I see and just do it that way. So this is where I have the taskbar 1. It just goes for the first item on the taskbar, and this goes to the second. Well, that seems to have jumped from the second to the third. Taskbar 1 should be VS Code. Yeah, so if you press it again, I think it jumps to the next one along, or the previous one that was there. And then it'll go to the one that you want. So if I want to go to taskbar number 2, which is my Notepad, it'll now jump to Notepad. And if I go back to 1, it goes back to there. So I find that's good. So I don't have to remember the program name. If there are things that I'm jumping between quite frequently, I just push them to the front end. And then when I've finished, I normally just have my browser, and I have my email as 1 and 2, so they're easy to jump through to do. So I just find this is so convenient. So I'm not distracted by coming down to the bottom taskbar or the top ribbons or this sort of things in programs. It all happens here. Now the one negative at the moment is that it's got this little help pop-up. When I do this, you see there's that little help pop-up. So if I was doing a screenshot through there, you'll see that's still floating through there. So if I just go back into taskbar, taskbar 1, into 1, and I want a screenshot of this area here, I'll come to the side here and go screenshot, and then I'll take the screenshot through there. So that little pop-up bit isn't part of it. I have found that now there's most probably a little a little switch somewhere on the line I can actually do that to stop those pop-ups if I want, and I'm not too bothered. So the person who actually gave me the idea for this is this chap here called Juho Lee. And in the code that I've got through here, right at the very top, his menu for doing the menu one, and then this is for the submenu within the menu. So I've got this further thing where I'm using an ini file. So I just want to briefly talk about that. So if we just go into this ini file, this is this ini file that it's going to look at, and what it has a header called data. So if we come into here, you see it's saying the hotkey ini is at this position. So there's the hotkey ini, and it says if you read Control Alt and A, so if you added those 3 keys together, look in data, and if it finds this Control Alt and let's say G, then replace it by this one here. So it's almost acting as a hot string, but for some unknown reason you've got to use this send input and then put them inside the percentages the way that it's actually written. So although you're actually using the control, these ones up here, I'm using the hotkeys of the Control, Shift and 1 through there. So those are the abbreviations that you can use in Hotkey, but it doesn't seem to like them in this one because of the way that I've set up that particular script. So that's why I'm pulling in this ini read stuff through here. The rest of it though, you actually have your front end of your menu. So you've got your main menu, and this is called My Menu, and it's got an add and all of these items through here. So it's got those, and then I've just counted them down, and then I'll call them 1, 2, 3 up to 10, just so that I know which ones they are. Down here, it says, so this is called My Menu. So it says menu label, and so that's the one. The menu is My Menu Show. So it says show the menu, and my hotkey that I've got for that is Alt plus M. and that's the hotkey that starts this program. Then you have the menu thing, Bob, and it says the menu label, item position item 1, send the input control plus space. Now control plus space, if I just hit that, is actually my MaxLauncher through there. And if I go into the second position, I've got control shift and 1, which is my screenshot, etc, etc, etc. So I've got all my hotkeys here, so I don't actually have to go and put those scripts into a particular file, activate that program, and then try and access them another way with the scripts. I've actually, all I'm doing is just calling up my hotkeys. So this is fantastic. So there wasn't a program that I used that did this. So now I can actually get my text expander one, so that one there, if I type DDD, it gives my year, month and day, which I find is brilliant for when I've actually got files. So I'm working on a project, and as I'm going through the project, I'm updating, I'm doing some revisions on something, on my drawings and stuff like that. So all I do is at the very beginning of the file, I just change the date using the DDD. And so whenever I order those files, the latest one comes up. Now the reason I do that is because I'm working on the project, I'm reasonably busy charging away, and then there'd be a pause for a week or a month or 2 months or 4 months. So a lot of times I don't want to go in and do a lot of annotating and things to kind of keep things to make sure where I am. I can actually just go back into that folder and then actually just look at the latest one and just work from there. Now you can do that by date, but if you copy all your files across to a different computer, or I actually copy them to my NAS drive, and if I copy them across to my computer again, it suddenly gives everything all the same date, so it doesn't work, as it kind of doesn't say when the file was last opened a lot of times, unless it's always stayed on a specific computer. Because I switch different computers, it doesn't work as much. So that's the main menu. So the main menu has this bit here for the main menu. Now the second one is that I've got 2 submenus. So if we just pop into here and just go and look at it, I've got a submenu here called emails, which have got a lot of my the emails that I use, and then I've got one called programs, which has got notepad, and this was just a test through here. So for those, I've got my main menus for items 1 through to 10 through there. Then I've got my submenus, because I don't use these as frequently, but if I go in and use Notepad, it's going to open up Notepad. Now it's opened up a new instance of Notepad if we just go through into there, because we've already got the other instance open, which has got my data, my hotkey ini file that is pathing to. So the submenu ones, and as I said, this has just got this quirk because of the way that I've set up my hotkeys, that I've got to do it this way. It's not the most, I did try doing it just using the basic hotkeys of Control, Alt and D. It didn't work, so but that's my setup. Normally if I'd rewritten them again and just did a normal script rather than tucking them away somewhere bizarre, it worked fine. And then these ones here, I'm just saying, it's just saying run whatever these programs are, and it's just highlighting where those programs are and just doing that. Now to a certain extent on this menu here, these submenus and programs are a bit of a waste of space, because I can actually do that in MaxLauncher. I can actually say, oh, I've got space there, okay then I'll actually just make that so sorry, I've got to hit right hand click edit and actually just put notepad pad.exe and then go OK. And now if no I didn't, let's just go and edit that again, edit, and then we got to put a name, notepad, and go OK, and I can put an image in there, and so if I double click on there, it's just opening up there. So in some ways opening that and going and finding the thing and double clicking on, or you know, I can if I've got the MaxLauncher open, I can actually just type J and it will open. So this was really just an experiment that I can do that. Now from the point of view of this is great, and something that I can see myself moving on with this is because this happens at the cursor rather than me. So if I'm actually in a BIM program or I'm in a CAD program, I can actually program a whole lot of my hotkeys or abbreviations, like I've got, like there's one which you do L for line, or there's layer, which is LA, and that you can actually just type it right in the things, or you can actually have submenus for zooms, like zoom all, zoom extent, zoom this, zoom that. So this would actually also work in a CAD program or a BIM program quite well. And that's one thing that I might be exploring later on. So it started off as something to do with the left hand. Now what you do need is you do need a mouse with programmable buttons, and with the programmable buttons you've got to be able to have a macro on them. So I just want to go in and fire this up through here. So this one here has macros. So the macro, I'm just going to go into here, and I'm just going to go, I think I've got to click on there, and I've got to go new macro. So on the new, I click on that, and I'm going to record, and then I'm going to go QERTY, and then I'm going to go stop, and it remembers that. Now what I tend to do is I just modify all of these bits, modify to maybe 20 milliseconds. So every time that's a key up, a key down, or something like that. Or you can actually have a hotkey, you know, if we wanted to record a hotkey, which would be Control D, let's say. So we can pause that then, and you can see it's got 39 seconds and 16 milliseconds and 1939. So we'll modify that to 20 milliseconds. Modify that to 20 milliseconds. And then you can save it, so you can then assign that. So if I come to a button, I can actually suddenly saying, okay, then button 10 is now a macro, and it's going to be called new. I don't know what one is. It's number 2. Okay then, so I can assign it this one here, new. Now once I load that up, it loads it into the mouse itself, and then off it will go like that. As it is, I'm actually just going to go back and put that as a macro. So you'll find that some of these programs, when you go through and do something like number 8 there, you know, it's got certain things which are already presets, like show desktop, or volume up or volume down for sound or something, or a macro for shortcuts, which is lock PC or copy and paste, those sorts of things. So there's stuff which are already presets in there, and I bought a couple of mice that have actually programmable mice, or they say they're programmable, but they don't have the option of the macro where you can build your own macros. So just be aware of those, and the fact that you do need that to have something that you can program specifically for doing your hotkeys. Now as it is, I have, so it just needs to have that sort of a thing set up in a way that it actually works for you. So I hope that's been of interest to you. It's sort of a learning thing, and I actually do find I am a bit more productive with the mouse keys, is that I'm not actually having to hunt the keyboard for things, you know, like I've got one button here which is just enter. So it's great, you're always using enter. So I just find it's great. So it's something that even after my left hand gets a bit better, it means I can actually have quite complex hotkeys. So I can use maybe Control plus Shift plus P on the other side of the keyboard, and because I don't have to do the hand stretch, I can just assign them to one of these quite easily. So I hope you found that of interest. If you did, please give a thumbs up. If not, op panyaha. Thank you very much. And I'll put the code up as well.